Hey everyone, welcome to my first video on my new channel. Today I'm going to show you how I do my tip the scales nails, and they are the ones that have the matte black background with the glossy textured dots on them. So the first thing that we're going to do is a coat of black gel polish. Now you probably wonder why I am painting backwards and that is because obviously I do press on nails, and I find sometimes that the gel polish wants to pull back away from the edge, so it's easier to go quickly backwards and then go forwards. You'll also in a second see me flip the nail upside down and wipe away a little bit of sneaky gel polish that's snuck underneath the nail. I was trained with biosculpture and my teacher would have popped something if I did not have the underneath of the nail as clean as it should be. So there I go. Now you're going to cure that for as long as your gel polish and your lamp tell you to do. Each lamp and gel polish are different, so you might have to figure that one out for yourselves, cheeky babes. Now I'm onto my second coat of black. Going backwards at first, of course, just to cap that top edge. As I said before, we need to basically cap all sides of the nail when it's a press on. If you are working on a client, obviously you don't need to worry about that. Just checking everything looks all good, and don't forget to check the butt underneath and cure again. And for my next trick, I'm going to use a product called Lastic by Planet Nails. I love this product. It is what I use on pretty much every set of press-ons that I do. It's kind of like a rubber top coat slash builder in a bottle. Yeah, it does quite a lot of things, but I mostly use it to help prevent against wearing and chipping. It's amazing over chromes, but I pretty much put it on as an extra layer of protection essentially, and I find that they wear really well, and it also keeps the nail flexible because it's quite thin, I suppose, so it doesn't make the press-ons stiff and yucky. Once again, just checking that everything looks nice and even, and checking the butt again. And then we're going to pop it in the lamp again. Now my favourite matte top coat is from Gel Girl, and it's called Rubber Matte Top Coat. I do find though that the inhibition layer that the Lastic leaves does seem to interfere with the Rubber Matte Top Coat. For some reason it kind of leaves like a bit of a streaky finish on the matte rather than a perfectly smooth finish. So I tend to wipe the sticky layer with alcohol to remove that before I paint my matte top coat on. That will leave the Lastic though with a shiny finish, and the general rule is that gel doesn't like to stick to anything shiny. I haven't found it to be a problem with these two products in this case so far. However, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, you could always buff the Lastic just lightly just to remove the shine. Now my only problem with this top coat is that it seems to be very sensitive, and I find that the gel that sits in the neck of the bottle often cures just from whatever light happens to be in my room. So some of those little bits of gel that are cured on the neck of the bottle, I sort of try and remove them, but sometimes a few little bits get in there and you can see me sort of clearing them away with a metal orange wood stick. It's a little annoying sometimes, but I love the finish that this gives, so I deal with it. The good thing about this design though is that because we're putting the gloss dots on top, if something did make its way in there that you missed, you can always just put a dot over the top of it and then you won't notice. Just doing that last check and checking underneath, and then we'll cure again. Now my secret weapon for the textured dots is the rubber top coat from the gel bottle. Before we get to more about that though, I'm just going to give the nail a good wipe over with some alcohol. It just seems to give the matte top coat that really nice finish and removes any little streaky bits that might be in there. Now the rubber top coat is really quite thick and it gives a really nice glossy finish, so I really like it for this effect because you don't have to go over it twice. If you used a normal top coat that was quite thin, you might need to go over it a second time to sort of get that height, but with this I find you don't need to, and you end up with that beautifully raised finish. Now to start off with, I use one of the larger dotting tools. I tend to pop my, as you can see in the background, my gel bottle brush. Just lay it down on the desk. You do need to watch it because it will drip off, and I tend to keep rolling it around so nothing drips onto the mat. But you can sort of see me doing a back and forth, left and right sort of motion, just to sort of get that elongated effect. And then I will go back in before I cure it and just add a little bit extra gel, because you've already told the gel where you want it to be with the initial dots. Unless you massively overload it, it won't really leave that space, and you can add more onto the top of it to get the height. And when you're ready, you can flash cure them just to make sure that they don't go anywhere. Then I come in with what is, I think, about my second smallest dotting tool. I have that coloured set that I think a zillion people have bought off eBay or AliExpress or something. So yeah, that pinky corally coloured one that you can see. I think that one's got the tiniest one, which I'm using now, and the opposite side of it is the next size up, I think. So I do those initial dots that you see with these second size up, and then I come in and pretty much for the rest of it I'll just use the smallest one. So from here on I go at it pretty randomly. You know, sometimes you'll have more on your dotting tool, so you get a larger dot. Sometimes you'll have less, so you get a smaller dot. I flash cure in between here and there. Sometimes a couple might run together because I like to try and get them quite close, because it just, I find it gives a better effect. So if two run together, I don't worry about it. But if you do flash cure regularly in between, if you get a couple that do run together and it's really bothering you, you can wipe it away and you won't ruin everything else that you've done already. It really can be quite time consuming from here, which is why I do like the rubber top coat, because it is that bit thicker. It can also make for a little bit more time, as I said, just because when you are placing your dot it sort of strings because it's quite thick, but I think overall it really does give an amazing effect, and it is probably what I would recommend to use. Once you think you might be done, I just like to give it another once over to see if there's anything that looks like it might kind of have a bit of an emptier space. Make sure everything kind of looks good, and then cure it when you're ready. And there you can see all 5 done. Some of them I've done a bit wider in the center, and some of them I've done a bit smaller, so you can change that up however you like the look of it. So there you have it, guys. That is all there is to it. It is actually a pretty simple design, but obviously can take a little bit of time because of all those little dots, but it's totally worth it in the end. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that it was helpful and you have enjoyed watching. Please like and subscribe and all of that jazz. Leave me a comment if you want to, whatever you want. I will look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.